My dear friends, today we celebrate the 25th Sunday in Ordinary Time, Year B. The readings today focus on two types of wisdom, false and true. Christians must be able to distinguish between spiritual and worldly wisdom. In the first reading, taken from the book of Wisdom, the wicked or the ungodly are described as those who see that life is a path toward death and oblivion, and therefore gather up any enjoyment they can for the moment before life is gone. As they grow in their wickedness, they abuse the poor to provide for their own comfort. From despair, they turn to indulgence, which leads to injustice and finally to violence against the one who speaks truth to them. The just or righteous person annoys them, and so they turn on him. They believe they know the way of the world, which is you have to get what you can for yourself. They refuse to accept any other way of life. Any other path is simply foolishness to them. The righteous man is described as a child of the Lord, who boasts that God is his Father. His preaching and blameless life make his enemies lie in wait for him. The wise, that is, the person who follows God's will and tries to live a good life, would prevail, but only through God's help. From the inception of Christianity, the second chapter of the book of Wisdom was considered a prophecy of the death of Christ. This chapter, with its description of the insults given, finds an echo in the shouting of those who were present at the crucifixion. The brutal scourging of Christ was certainly torture, while his condemnation to be crucified was certainly a shameful death. In our lives, we know for sure that people gossip. They always will. Sometimes their talk is idle chatter, while at other times it turns ugly, slanderous, and ultimately vengeful. Unfortunately, it is mostly the innocent who suffer. Trusting in God comes at a price. Sometimes it costs us our reputation. Sometimes it costs us relationships. In the case of a few, it cost them their lives. But this trust means that God will win in the end. It means he will save us. It means the price is worth paying. The second reading, taken from the letter of James, presents the results of living by human wisdom, which is full of envy and selfish ambition. These sins are the source of confusion and conceit. They create a spirit of rivalry, malice, confusion, and contention within people that leads to conflict and broken relationships. People who are envious and self-seeking should not deceive anyone, especially themselves, about how wise they are, since they present a wisdom that is earthly, sensual, and demonic. The wisdom of the world, the flesh, and the devil may be able to accomplish a lot, but always with the ultimate fruit of confusion and evil, since it's not of God. As against this false wisdom, the real one is from above, pure, peace-giving, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, and does not show partiality or hypocrisy. People with such wisdom will receive the harvest of righteousness. Conflicts and disputes arise from the desires that are at war within a person. When someone eagerly wants something and they do not get it, then they may fall back on their own sense of understanding and wisdom. So also when someone covets something which they cannot obtain, then there are conflicts and disputes. The reason why people do not have what they want is because they do not ask God for it. And even when they ask, they do so with the wrong intention of indulging in pleasures which would promote friendship with the world and enmity with God. In the Gospel taken from Mark, Jesus again foretells his death and resurrection. His disciples did not understand what he was saying and were afraid to ask him. What were they afraid of? Perhaps they were afraid that such questions would somehow disturb or disappoint Jesus, but more likely, they were afraid of the answer. They really didn't want to know why. Maybe they were afraid of what it might mean for them. The disciples here were following a path described by the first two readings, a path of false wisdom that helped them in distracting themselves from their anxiety that their lives are worthless, fleeting, and insignificant. The disciples were afraid to ask Jesus the right question, so they got all tangled up in the wrong one. In their case, the wrong question became, who is the greatest among them? For most of us, greatness is about being number one, a winner, a success. It's about power, control, wealth, fame, reputation, status, and position. Surely you have never seen the team that loses the finals in any sporting event celebrate. Being last and servant of all is not what we usually strive for. That's not the greatness to which we aspire. If being great, holding the number one position, means being last of all and servant of all, then we have completely misunderstood what greatness is really about. The disciples were not different from us. Jesus wasn't saying that we should not or cannot be great. He never says that. Rather, he asks us to reframe our understanding of greatness. Jesus answers that question by taking a little child in his arms and saying to the disciples, "Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me." He doesn't say that greatness is in being a child, and he doesn't say that greatness is in being childlike. Greatness is in welcoming the child. You would ask, what's so difficult to welcome a child? Who wouldn't welcome a little child? But Jesus isn't talking about the child literally. He's talking about what the child represented in that culture all those years ago. The child was a symbol of vulnerability, powerlessness, and dependency. Someone who had no rights, no status. Greatness, he says, is in welcoming and receiving into our arms one like these. Greatness is found in what we have done and given to the least of these, the hungry, thirsty, naked, sick, and imprisoned. Think about a family member or a nurse's aide who bathes, changes, and cares for the elderly, the sick, the dying. She or he is a great one. Our greatness is revealed in our service and care of others, regardless of their ability or willingness to pay, repay, or return the favor. Greatness comes to us when we share with others who have nothing to share with us. Greatness comes when we forgive one who has neither asked for our forgiveness nor changed his or her behavior. Instead of distracting ourselves from our fear that we don't matter, we are to throw ourselves into love of others, including the unworthy. I pray that each one of us be gifted with the ability to discern between the false and true wisdom. May God bless us all.